Viewer discretion is advised. Who is responsible for the disappearance and possible death of Maleah Davis? Is it CPS? Is it the parents, biological, and stepdad? Is it the grandparents? I blame all, because all of them played a part in this tragedy, and not one of them has accepted their part in this tragedy. CPS was responsible because once they stepped into the lives of Miss Bowens and her children, they should have stayed in. There were signs of abuse. The children should have been removed and remained out of their home. But CPS sent them back. They have not accepted responsibility for their part in this. The mother, with CPS on her back the way they were, she should never have left her child alone for anything to happen. She said that the child fell from a high chair onto a marble floor. Now, why would I have that type of stuff in a house and I have small children? That's the first thing that comes to my mind, is that my child could fall on this floor and injure themselves. Why didn't you have carpet? Darian Vince gets blamed because he was the one that had the children. The things that he's saying is idiotic, and it doesn't make any sense at all. I think a 3-year-old can come up with a better tale than what this guy's been telling. Now, Brittany's mother did try to get the children, and we're not hearing nothing from the parents of Craig or Darian's mother. But his father seems to believe that Darian is innocent, and somehow he was set up. And for the life of me, I'm trying to envision exactly how was he set up. In no way am I letting Brittany off the hook, but she does have an alibi. She did come from Massachusetts. She was at the airport, and she was picked up from the airport. Darian Vince's father had said that his son isn't abusive, and that his son was not in the home during the time Maleah was involved with the CPS. But according to CPS, Darian was in the home. And he said that he actually didn't see them because he was in the restroom when Maleah was hurt. I know that Darian Vince's father wants to believe his son, but he must remember that children do lie sometimes. Your son said that he was driving along, heard a popping noise, got out, and by that time, a truck pulled up behind him. 3 Hispanics jump out. I think he was talking about Mexicans. He from St. Louis. But anyhow, 3 Hispanics jump out. He thinks that the Hispanics are going to assist him. But one of the Hispanics look into the car and say, nice. And your son didn't do anything? He didn't try to jump back in the car when he saw 3 Hispanics jump out the truck? Who the hell think that somebody's trying to help them? You say your son from St. Louis. Is your son lame? It sounds to me like your son is lame. Because don't nobody I know would do that. Then your son goes on to say that one of the Hispanics punch him. They get to roughing him up, ram his head into the car, chunks him in the back of the truck. Him and the 2 kids burn off. He knocked out. And for a whole day, 24 hours, he's in and out of consciousness. First of all, I want to know, who the hell are those Mexicans? They're some badass Mexicans. If they can hit a person and make them go in and out of consciousness for a whole day, they're some badass Mexicans. Or excuse me, Hispanics. One thing I want to know is, what were the children doing during this 24-hour truck ride? They had to use the restroom. They had to eat. All of them hitting turns and stuff. The children went bouncing around back there. So that story doesn't even sound right. Goes on to say that they let him out. He really doesn't know where he is. He wanders around, trying to flag people down. People zooms right by him. He walks on to the hospital, which is only a mile away from where he said he was dropped off. But it took him 5 hours to walk 1 mile. So what I'm saying is, your son's story just doesn't add up. You know it doesn't add up, but I know he's just being a father. Your son gets to the hospital. He doesn't fall through the door because he's just been knocked out, in and out of conscious for 24 hours, then walked the whole mile, tired, pecking the baby. He strolls right in. Now, they treated him for some head injuries, which I saw were a few scratches. Didn't say anything about the child, who was riding in the back of the truck, so probably didn't eat for a whole day, wasn't changed for a whole day, probably suffered some type of concussion from riding in the back of a truck, being flipped around. But no, was nothing wrong with the child. When he gets out, he's nowhere to be found. But the dad said that, Darian's father said that they knew where he was. And he was with his brother. And even the dad said that the brother left town. But why would he leave town? Wouldn't it bring on some type of suspicion? As I say, man, we have a lot of people committing crimes that are dumb criminals. And people are listening to people on these little different shows and blogs, and they're just putting a lot of bullshit in the game. With these little stupid theories that they're trying to come up with. Because as I said, Brittany Bowens, she was not there. Who had the child? Who had the car? Who wound up losing the child and the damn car? Was it Brittany? It is proof, though, that Brittany Bowens and Darian Vince were in communications with each other during this whole ordeal. So she's somehow guilty. She was not here. Darren Vince might have been stupid enough to do something, the ultimate crime, for the love of a woman. But still, Brittany was smart enough to leave town so she would have an alibi and left this damn fool holding the bag. We just haven't really heard a statement from Darren Vince. But he should be saying something along the lines of, it is my fault because, I let the children die. I didn't protect them. The mother, she should be saying something along the same lines as that, hey, I let my daughter down. I knew I should have took her with me. But I failed her as a mother because I did not protect my child. CPS should be saying something along those lines like, hey, we had the child in our care. We saw something, but we just kind of brushed it off and we put the child back into the home. We deeply apologized and we will try our best not to never, ever let something like that happen again. But these days, people, they refuse to accept responsibility for their actions. And they want to place blame on others. When Brittany Boynes first came back and she was being questioned about Darren Vince, she had raving reviews about Darren, how good a father he was and how much she loved him. But then, just like night and day, she said that he was abusive and that she really didn't trust the guy no more. What changed her views? Darren's father. They said that they tried to practically separate his son from Brittany. But Darren, he chose to stay. I guess Brittany got that ill na-na. If your son, which you said brought all the money in, washed all the clothes, cooked all the food, kept the house clean, babysitted the children, picked them up, why wouldn't he be weak enough to commit murder? I mean, doesn't he rap or something, have something like a little record label and some type of little business? That doesn't sound like a weak person. So why would he do some weak ass shit like what you're describing? And why would he be weak and lame enough to pull his car over after hearing a popping noise with somebody riding behind him? Why would he not jump back in that car if he see 3 people jumping out? Hispanics, as he say. Why would he let somebody get close enough to his vehicle to look in and see the children through tinted windows and holler about, sweet? Why didn't he knock the hell out of one of them and just fight to the damn end? Stop trying to make your son sound like some little kid, an infant. He's a grown man. But you want to make it like the boy's retarded. And your son just, hey man, he fucked up. He got himself knee deep in some bullshit. It's just hard for me to believe that Brittany Boynes paid 3 Mexicans or Hispanics to get Darren to pull over on the way to pick up from the airport, knock his ass out, kidnap the kids, drive his ass around for a whole day, kick him out, and keep the girl. That don't make, what sense does that make? If she wanted the girl out the way, and she gonna do all that, why she just gonna pay the Mexicans just to outright kill him? Oh. Darian Vince, he left Friday. Wasn't seen again until Saturday. Almost Sunday. Because it was right at midnight. And he can't make an account of what happened. What the little girls, all he knows is he has his son with him. It is written, a person's enemies will be those of his own household. Y'all better start paying attention.